Okay, I've got 7 o'clock. This is the Farmington Town Board meeting for May 9th. We have no public hearings tonight. Tim Galusha, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yep. Item on the agenda is our minutes for the town board meeting on April 25th. Oh, second. Motion by Nate, second by Steve. Any comments, corrections? All in favor? Aye. Tonight on privilege of the floor, we have the Victor Central School Superintendent, Dr. Timothy Terranova, for a presentation of the budget for the school. And we have Tim Galusha, after the pledge. Board member, you're the president this year?
Board president, yeah.
Board president, thank you. And Tim, would you introduce?
Yes, thank you. I'm Tim Terranova, the superintendent, proud superintendent of Victor Central School District. With me is Derek Police, our assistant superintendent for business. And as you mentioned, Tim Galusha is in the audience, our board president. We just want to briefly talk a little bit about our budget proposal for 23-24. In April, the Board of Education approved this budget. We actually, we really look at the budget process as a year-long endeavor. But we started to really give specifics on it and really work on it specifically in December of 2022. And between December and April, we gave multiple presentations on our budget process, led by Mr. Police. And then in April, like I said, the board approved the budget. Now it goes to the voters Tuesday, week from today, May 16th, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Early Childhood School Board room right on the Victor campus. So we just want to quickly talk a little bit about the budget, answer some questions, and be as clear as possible around what we're doing. How do I click to it?
It should be your right arrow. Should no?
Excellent.
There we go.
Thank you. Agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about our budget goals, give some specifics on the budget, talk about what's on the ballot, and then again, list some important dates and how we're communicating it. So our goals are pretty clear. We want to maintain a comprehensive education, one of the most comprehensive educations in the area for our kids who go to Victor Central School District. And we definitely want to focus our alignment of our resources on our brand new strategic plan. That strategic plan was created last year and is in effect for its first year this year. It's a 5-year plan and it has major focus areas around culture, learning and achievement, and student supports and opportunities, including special education. So we want to align whatever resources we have within that strategic plan. We want to maintain the stabilization of reserves, maximize the use of every dollar spent, and certainly maximize the ability to generate aid for future endeavors. And then probably the most important piece around it is be as transparent as possible. So I want to quickly talk a little bit about our situation on where we were. So I took over superintendent in February of 2020. At that point, Victor was in a financial crisis, the Victor Central School District. We had really understaffed areas. You'll see the ones in yellow on the PowerPoint. There were significant understaffed areas around social emotional learning, academics, support, counseling, instructional curricular leadership, cleaning. We had no security staff, and certainly instructional technology was lacking. At that point, we also had very little money in our reserves, and we were actually using the reserves to pay for the general fund budget, which is you don't really want to do, obviously, is use your savings to pay for daily experiences. And even with the understaffed areas that we had, we were about $3 to $3.5 million behind. And so we were in some significant trouble thanks to the Victor Central School community, which includes Farmington and the town of Victor. The town did exceed the tax cap in June of 2020 for the 2021 school year. And we have not had to do that, and nor do we anticipate having to go over the cap anytime in the near future. But it did lead then to some work that we needed to do to increase our staffing, and that's been really a 2-year process up till now, and then we have our, what I believe is our last stage of staffing, significant staffing increases for next year. And the key is that throughout this whole process, we've kept the tax rate. That's the tax rate right for this year is actually slightly under the tax rate for 1920 for our school district. So we've done these additions to staffing by maintaining a stable tax rate, which is a real critical piece, obviously, for this whole process. So again, this is just a quick comparison. I'll come back to that one in a second. There's these are the number of positions that we're actually adding this year. There's a total of 24.9. You'll see the range around the strategic plan areas of culture, learning and achievement, and student supports and opportunities. And let me just summarize the general concepts of what we're adding for next year. We're increasing our staffing for pupil services and special education. Those are to increase opportunities for students to take courses at the high school, especially in special education. We need to expand the opportunities for students with disabilities. We're going to increase a special ed continuum of services to offer more opportunities to bring kids back from out of district placement into our school district. And we're going to add social emotional support at a variety of levels and continue to do so. We're adding staff for 200 South High Street, which the community passed to purchase in October. That's going to be a tutoring center, so students who are out of district for a short period of time for various reasons can come in and be tutored for 2 to 4 hours at a time instead of not coming to school for weeks to even months and getting very little tutoring, and then that adds more challenges when they come back. So we're excited about that. We're going to mitigate class sizes, especially in the intermediate school, because we have an increase in enrollment at the elementary level. However, we're anticipating a flat enrollment K-12 next year. We're also improving comprehensive programming in music, art, world languages, extracurricular opportunities. Again, trying to get to that emphasis on making sure our kids have every opportunity that other kids have to participate in a variety of experiences that they can be successful in and feel like they're a part of the school district. We've added 4 security positions to this year's budget. We're going to add additional 1 for next year for the elementary buildings. The first time we've had an actual security staff on campus. And that's 5,000 people every day, 5 days a week. So it's the largest area, largest number of people in one spot, really, in the entire area. And we need to make sure that we are securing that area and making sure people are safe. And we're also adding a full-time career coordinator to the high school who will work with especially our junior and senior students to give them many more opportunities for internships across businesses in the area. We want to strengthen the senior year of high school and make sure that's as rigorous as possible. And we're going to add a full-time drug and alcohol counselor at the high school. Many districts have this position. We need it. There are kids who are struggling with alcohol and other drugs. And we need to support them, but not only that, also do proactive work with our younger students around the dangers of alcohol and other drugs and build greater resources and connections to the community. So again, this is the staffing for next year, and we fully anticipate that we will be able to flatten out that graph that you see behind me. You'll see the yellow. We've had an additional staff, a significant amount of staff that we've added. We've also strengthened our reserves, that's the red line, to a point where we're now stable in our reserves, which means we can afford capital projects with very little impact on the taxpayer, instead of having to borrow a significant amount of money and then having to pay that interest and the taxpayer having to pay interest on it. That's why we substantiate reserves. You can see from the blue line that we anticipate our tax rate for next year to be $60.03 per 1,000. That's a slight increase from the $15.84 for this year. However, we are anticipating that happens, which happens every year, that tax rate will actually be lower when it's finalized in August. So that's general personnel piece to the budget. I'm going to turn it over to Derek, who's going to talk more about non-personnel and the bigger picture of the financial area.
Thank you, Dr. Turnover. So in the non-personnel budget, we focus on three main goals. First of which is to keep up with inflation. Where inflation was roughly 89%, depending on which area you're looking at. And in order for teachers and staff to have the appropriate materials that are the same materials that they have this year, we had to adjust our supplies and materials accordingly. We weren't able to go completely with inflation, but we were able to increase roughly 4%, 4 to 5% across the board. In addition, the district is looking to start adding a furniture replacement plan. Previously, a lot of our furniture was purchased through the capital project, which we borrow money, pay interest, and pay back over 15 years. So now we're looking to create a refresh cycle for both classroom desks, chairs, new 21st century spaces with students that may have difficulty sitting still, like the wobble stools. In addition, we are adding to the budget money to create more welcoming facilities. There are three parts of that. For example, there's a capital outlay, which is a $100,000 capital project. Instead of being reimbursed over 15 years, these small capital projects get reimbursed the following year, but it also helps us take care of small little projects in between larger capital projects. In addition, we added additional funds for painting to create more warm and welcoming, inviting atmosphere for our students, and more water bottle fillers across the campus. The total expenses overall, our budget is up 10.9%, with the largest amount of our money going to our second most valuable resources, which is our staff. Our students is our #1 resource. In addition, you'll see the various increases, such as the equipment where we plan on purchasing our furniture from, and our contractual, which is our capital outlay. So overall, our budget is going up 10.9%, but due to a large increase in state aid that we'll talk about really briefly, we only believe that we are only asking for the tax levy increase to be 2.81%. And based off of a calculation that we did, so when we do our calculations for the tax cap, we get preliminary information from the state of New York, which has the tax rate growth factor, which was 9.4%, and then we also adjusted for equalization rates. So last year Farmington was at 88%. So when we do our calculation for this current school year, we use roughly $834 million. For the calculation of this estimate, we use an estimate of $957 million. That doesn't make up all of Farmington, because Farmington split across multiple school districts, but so that represents the properties in Farmington that belong to Victor Central School District. So overall, based off of the new tax calculation, we're estimating on the high end $16.03 per thousand, which is a 1.2% increase. Revenues. So overall, this is our largest increase to our revenues due to the state following the foundation aid formula. Over the last 15 years or so, Victor Central School District has been shorted roughly $107 million from the state of New York due to the freezing of the foundation aid formula. It started to thaw this year, and in the budget that was approved last week, it completely thawed the foundation aid formula. So you're seeing just under an $8 million increase in foundation aid, plus there is a slight increase to our building aid due to the capital project that was approved by the community in 2019. So some of the increase in expenses was related to debt, and then the revenues are coming in. So overall, our state revenue sources are up 22%, or $8.5 million. Our local sources over here, our main local source is our tax levy, which, as we mentioned, is going up 2.2%. And then a various assortment of other activities, such as our payment in lieu of taxes. So overall, just like our expenses, our revenues are going up 10.9%, with the largest share being picked up by the state of New York. In addition, this is the first time that Victor Central School District has had a fully balanced budget. As you can see, it's the use of reserves. Use of reserves is basically tapping into our savings account to balance the budget, either through reserves or unappropriated fund balance. Due to the increase in state aid, the district has been able to preserve our savings and actually build this budget without using any of our savings for next year. So again, overall, we are projecting that our budget is going to go up 10.9%, but the levy only going up 2.81%, with the tax rate going up 1.2%. Now, the tax rolls do not get finalized until June 30th, and then the calculation will be occurring in July, with the adoption at the August Board of Education.
So, this is the cost per pupil, in relation, this year in relation to the three counties, that were either in or nearby. We anticipate that cost, as we talked about, to go up, right around $24,547. We don't have next year's per pupil cost for the counties of Monroe, Wayne, and Ontario yet. So that's, those are gonna most likely go up as well. But even when they don't go up, even as we use this year's numbers and then next year's numbers for Victor, we're still below the other three counties, the average of the other three counties, which is something that's really important to point out. Also, you can see the same, even a more kind of concrete look at how much we compare in terms of our true tax rate compared to the school districts in the other three counties, including Ontario. And even after this, as we move to what we believe is the highest it would be, and we most likely will be below this, the $16.03, we're still significantly below the other three counties, and those rates most likely will go up. We're one of those few districts that where it typically goes down compared to year in terms of the tax rate.
Based on the tax increase, we expect that the monthly impact for our families would be $1.58 per $100,000 of assessment, all the way up to $792 for $500,000. So with the tax rate, we were hearing a lot of feedback about the reassessments, and we felt like it was an opportunity to help people understand how the tax rate is calculated. I like to refer to the tax rate calculation as a three-legged stool, with the seat being the tax rate. The three legs would be the tax levy, the assessments, and the equalization rate. So just because assessments are going up, it doesn't mean our tax levy is going to go up proportionally. Those exist completely separate from one another. But in addition, there is this equalization rate, which does exactly how it sounds. In between periods of assessments, the state puts in another factor in the calculation, which is called the equalization rates, to try to make it fair across the same taxing jurisdictions. So in the next slide, we have an example where there are two properties assessed at two different values, but if you go down to the equalization rate in town A, there's a 100% equalization rate, while town B has a 79% equalization rate. So what happens with that calculation is it adjusts the full market values for each of these different properties in two different municipalities. So because town A is 100%, they get taxed at exactly what their assessment value is. In town B, they might not have been assessed recently. So you actually take the $300,000 and divide it by 0.79, which gives you the full valuation of $379,747. So they have the same full market value, but different assessment. At the end, if you go down to the second to last row, they end up paying two separate tax rates. But at the end, if the total tax is due, they end up paying the same amount of taxes despite being in different municipalities. But what is on the ballot? So the first proposition is to approve the budget of $98,924,377 for the 23-24 school year and levy the taxes therein. Is on the previous slides. We have one bus and one vehicle purchase on the ballot. The first one is to purchase 6 buses. This is an annual proposition that we provide to the community. It is for 2 years out. This is to purchase 6 diesel buses at the cost of $1,185,000. All the vehicles that we will be replacing are well over 10 years and well over 100,000 miles. We have a really great transportation department and mechanics that do a great job keeping these buses, but eventually they do age out. In addition to the bus purchase, we have a vehicle purchase, 4 vehicles for $210,000. That includes 1 service truck to maintain buses as they break down, and then 3 vehicles that are used to transport small amounts of kids, either to activities or maybe out of district placements. It's been 15 plus years since the district has replaced those vehicles. So it is about time that we cycle through those and get refreshed on those vehicles. In addition, we have 3 vacancies on the Board of Education, 2 full-term, 3-year appointments, and the last one is a partial due to a vacated position. The names of the candidates as they will appear on the ballot, which was selected at a random drawing in the business office the day following when the applications for Board of Education candidates was due. And the drawing was to put Brian Adams in this position, the first position, Debbie Palumbo Sanders second, Adam Snyder third, Holly Bover fourth, and Christopher Parks. So the top two vote getters would get the two full terms, and the third highest vote getter would get the parking term. So important today's, so this is a presentation that we did last Thursday, so we would have already received our budget newsletter in your houses already. And then today, minutes ago, just wrapped up, we held voter registration in district office from 3 to 7 p.m. And then next Tuesday, as Dr. Terranova mentioned, is the budget vote in the Board of Education election, held at the Early Childhood School Board of Education room from 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night.
Thanks, Mr. Delisa. Just 3 quick points. One, just to echo what Derek said. The tax levy, the amount of total money that we tax for the school community does not change when homes are reassessed or when new homes or businesses are built in the school district. That tax levy is set through this budget vote. What happens is when more homes are built or businesses are built, the actual total taxes are spread across more people, which lessens the individual payment. And the same thing occurs in terms of when homes are reassessed, it's spread differently across the different homes and area businesses. So it's a really important piece because we hear lots of times that we're having, if we build 100 homes in Farmington, the school district gets all that surplus. Now that has no impact on the taxes in terms of the amount we have. That's set by the budget. It does, however, help the community because it divides up the total number by more, which helps the taxes. The second piece I wanted to talk about was really, again, just a reminder about the day. It's May 16th, and it's 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I encourage you between now and May 16th to, if you live in the school district, you should have received the newsletter. Very packed with information around our school district budget. I encourage you to look at that, read it over carefully. Email me at terranova@victorschools.org if you have any questions, or email Derek, call us, because that has a ton of information. And also our website, victorschools.org, has a site specific to the 23-24 budget. That's again has not only the newsletter on it, but more information, including budget facts and a question and answer section. So anything that you really have in terms of questions, you should be able to find answers there and then clarify with us if you have more questions. And then lastly, I know Supervisor Inglesby sent me a question from a taxpayer regarding the potential capital project. I think the question is, A, what's going on with our capital project, and B, whatever we end up with, was it a greater capital project, during the planning, or did we just pick the number we need and let's go for it? I guess would be really the question. So 2 things: our capital project, which is important for districts to have usually every 5 to 7 years, because you don't want to be trying to spend money out of your general fund to build classrooms or repair roofs or do major renovations, because that would take all the money away from your daily operations. So you want capital projects, plus you get significant state aid from those projects. We have already gone through a pretty significant planning stage, and yes, we started with a significantly higher number than what we're currently at. Right now, we're looking at somewhere between 70 and $75 million capital project. But the key to that capital project was what we could have done was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. That was really significantly whittled away. We want a capital project that ultimately has either very little or no impact on the taxpayer, which is why we need our money in our reserve. So again, that very little piece is what we're looking at in terms of an impact on the taxpayer. We are not able to even present it, the final capital project, to our Board of Education yet, because the state is so far behind in terms of determining the state aid numbers for the renovation project. So we are now looking at really trying to finalize that project for the Board of Education this summer, and then hopefully going out in the fall, either September or October, with a potential capital project vote. We thought the vote was gonna occur this summer, but because the state's backed up, we aren't able to do that, so. That was just a little clarification of our capital project. Any questions from the audience or town board?
And one of the other things, for the bonding of the buses, how long does that period of time?
Yeah, so we bond for buses over 5 years because that's what the state needs it on. I know that there was a question about whether or not the district uses fund balance to help offset that. So currently, right now, it's kind of perpetual, we pay 1/5 every year, and then 4/5 is residual. Right now, the district has been focusing on funding a capital reserve, but once we get a capital project that the community and the district agrees on, the district plans on shifting their focus to funding a bus purchase reserve. The ultimate goal of the bus purchase reserve is to pay what is referred to as the local share, which is the difference between what our payment is versus what the aid of the new state will give us. So essentially, we don't want to pay for 100% upfront. Our goal is to pay enough so then there's no tax impact. Our debt may be $200,000, but the state's going to give us $200,000 in transportation aid for those buses, and we'll turn around and pay that money to where we borrowed our funds from.
Perfect. Questions? Anybody online with a question?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Is there, with the state mandating electric, are they pushing you towards electric buses?
Yes, so starting school year, starting in 2027, we can no longer purchase diesel buses currently, and by 2035, we have to have our entire fleet, including our maintenance vehicles, turned to electric vehicles.
I think that's gonna be a significant increase in cost of a bus, isn't it?
Absolutely. So currently, right now, our diesel buses are costing about $145,000. The current estimate for electric buses $450,000. The district has been doing a lot of diligence applying for grants, trying to offset the costs, and we will continue to do so as much as we can.
Yeah, one of the things, I'm glad you asked that question, so. I guess you used the word, we're taking a conservative approach to the district towards this, and that's really under the board's leadership. So for example, I talked about things that were cut from the initial capital project that we're going to propose in the fall. One of them was some significant upgrades to the transportation center for electric buses, because yes, the state's saying that we're going to have these buses and these systems by 2035, but we have no idea if that's actually going to be true or not. And that could easily be extended. And we don't want to be the district that pays millions of dollars to set this up. And then ultimately the state says, now we're not requiring them anymore because they realize it's not, there's no ability to actually do it. And if that's the case, then we don't want to be stuck with that. So we're going to let some other districts in this case try to experiment with that and see how that goes. And then thanks to Derek's leadership, have a plan in place over the next 5 to 10 years. That's why we're not, from my understanding, purchasing any electric buses through this piece, because we want to wait and see on that. But that's kind of an approach we're taking as a district, and really that was under the board's leadership too.
Is it, just for the public's knowledge, Regional Transit Service, RTS, in the city, they started out with electric buses a few years ago. They found out during the winter, for some of their routes, the electric buses won't last, so they've gone out and gotten a multi-million-dollar grant, state and federally, to purchase hydrogen. And so their next group of buses coming in are going to be like that are supposed to be better for the winter months.
Have to wait for this
So
information, don't jump into it.
Yeah.
anybody else? Great. Thank you, Tim. Eric?
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, that's all on Proposal 4. Any public concerns? Anybody online? Public concerns? Okay, reports of standing committees, Public Works.
Yeah, Public Works, on the water and sewer side, just ongoing down at the treatment plant, we've been talking a lot about work on digester 1. work down there. Some epoxy coating is one of the last things to be done. They're scheduled to start work this Thursday on that. We did some smoke testing over in the Doe Haven area. Still waiting for kind of a full report on that. They found some minor infiltration issues, but nothing real major that came up during that process. We have an intern scheduled to begin on June 5th. They're going to be working a lot on service line information, specifically identifying lead versus copper surveys throughout the district. Still working on the software migration to the new UniLink billing software. From everything I'm hearing with the water and sewer office, they're happy with the program, and just the process is ongoing to get that complete. They've been doing lawn restorations for breaks that occurred over the winter, also some grading over on Town Line Road to finish up that water main project. And just ongoing hydrant maintenance that's occurring, replacing ones that need replacing, and still working on installing new meters that have new cell endpoints on them that don't have to be driven out to be read. And 3 resolutions on the agenda tonight. We can discuss those as they come up. Highway and Parks, obviously they've switched from winter to spring mode. The welcome signs have gone up. The old ones have come down. They look very nice. You'll see larger ones on some of the more main roads. Been replacing driveway pipes as needed. They've been out fixing their plow damage, topsoil, grass seed. Working on some road closure signs for the Fine and Brownsville Road project. Working on signs for upcoming oil and stone projects. And they also have some work over on Fowl Lane that was supposed to start this week, but unfortunately they're waiting on utility stakeouts for that project. So once those come in, they can get to work on that. On the parks, just a lot of ongoing, obviously mowing, soccer fields, baseball fields, strike. The bathrooms are open now, the water's on, so those are being open and closed daily, and got all the picnic tables out. So, and it's got just 2 resolutions, and we'll talk about those later in the agenda.
Thanks, Steve. Town operations?
Yeah, we have 3 resolutions. We can discuss, they come up, a couple of public hearings and maybe set. Ongoing project, we had the public information meeting last Thursday regarding the transportation alternative sidewalk projects. And that can put on the town's YouTube page for anybody wants to view that if they didn't have a chance to see it. The Powers and Senate zoning has submitted a revised application. I think they reduced the total number of lots over there by 30 in the new application. Still waiting on Ontario County Tourism on the Airbnb short-term rental law. Still no real update on the intermunicipal drainage district study. Farmington Market Center still waiting on a response from Farmington Market Center and the engineer with potential changes to their site plan. They're working on amending chapter 9, which is the boards, committees, and commissions, and getting some more detailed descriptions of the responsibilities and duties of the boards. And still updating chapter 74 of the town code, which is the construction codes and standards. And also be on file.
Good, thanks, Nate. Reports of town officials, supervisor. Today at the county, I attended the economic development committee meeting. The whole group received a brief draft report of the countywide housing study. Over 1,000 Ontario County residents answered the questionnaire earlier this spring. There's a series of meetings going on this week to introduce the draft report and be followed up by a final report in the July-August timeframe. Besides myself going to this meeting this morning, Ron Brand will be going over to Geneva, Hobart and William Smith College for a municipal discussion of the housing study and how do we get affordable housing in the county. And what is affordable housing mean? I've been recently selected to the search committee for the new director of real property taxes services. And it's somebody to replace Donald Plant. Thursday night is our next county board of supervisors meeting that starts at 6:30. If anybody ever wants to attend or listen online. Here at the town, we reached out to town and villages the other day, and we already have some of them coming in and picking up our excess file cabinets. And more to come in the next couple of days. We are waiting for the draft report and work to accomplish the lower level of the town hall, which should be heard from the engineers next week. We have a small committee that has met twice now to develop a list of improvements to the current parks building. Such things as removing asbestos, new windows, look at the ceiling and the condition of the roof and other things. Tonight, we do have a resolution moving forward. The brickyard irrigating transmission line for additional funding. And the town of Canandaigua will be doing the same resolution at their meeting. This month, probably June. And we first.
Yeah, follow up. So they did get the stakeout done today on follow. We were able to get down there this afternoon and do some hydro excavating to locate the utilities. So that is done, ready to go. So, and expect work to get going.
It's basically a complete rebuild of that section of road, including the gutters.
Including the gutters and the pipe underneath. That we need to replace the metal pipe. So yeah, that's a complete rebuild on that. So we had our spring cleanup last weekend. We had 148 residents come through on Thursday, 135 on Friday, and 225 on Saturday, for a total of 508. Saturday, we had 176 people use the shredding. So that was very popular compared to in the fall where only 98 were used it. So that was quite a jump. And I'll have the numbers as we get them in.
Again, we have 14,000 residents, only 500 vehicles through the 3-day event.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more we advertise it to get more people to respond. Just keep trying.
And on a last note, my snow blower attachment came in just in time for summer.
Just in time.
Yeah, that's in time.
Yeah, also the vouchers, another $31,000 salt for purchase for salt.
What's that now?
I say also in our vouchers.
Oh, yeah.
Those 31,000 more.
Yeah.
The last
year.
Clerk.
Yes, so on April 27th, we had the auditors here for the town clerk and tax collector audits, and both have come back with their findings, so that is great. Peter should have them for next week, if you don't already have it. Also next Wednesday, here at town hall, our county clerk meeting is going to be here, and Office of the Aging is asked to come and talk to us to see if area town clerks can help with some of their services and we're in need of. So, and Thursday we do our training with Unilink here, so we're excited to learn our part of it.
Yeah. 3-hour training session already, another 3 hours there, and then I think Monday there's a third session. Can't wait. Martin Stewart.
I finished the annual water quality report for 2022 last week. That is out to the local health department for review. And I would expect we can get that published on the 19th.
I looked it over. Looks okay. I'd like to have your blessing.
Sure.
Building and zoning. Okay.
All right, so some statistics from the building department, month of April, we issued 82 building permits. We completed 193 inspections of building permits. There were 36 fire inspections completed, 19 stormwater and SWIP inspections, and 24 zoning inspections. We're starting to work on the mobile home parks and doing the inspections through there. We're working with water and sewer. Well, Dan's working with water and sewer. They were updating some site design specs. We have 2 members of our office this week and next week in drone training. So that'll be interesting to see what comes back out of that. And we have one real resolution tonight for a refund for a building permit that'll come up later.
Thank you. Artie. Planning board. Be brief.
At our next meeting next week, we have a preliminary site plan approvals for a house on Town Line Road, Candido Farmington Town Line Road. And final site plan approval for the Loomis Road Industrial Park on Loomis Road. And then some letter of credit, chapter 9 reviews. that we're going on. So, staying busy.
Good. Bond director, planning and development.
Well, I'm trying my darndest to keep the planning board busy. And so far it seems to be working. We have the packets ready to go tomorrow for the coordinated review under seeker for the resubmission of the power incentive rezoning project. We have a workshop coming up with the zoning board of appeals, a training workshop on Monday, the 15th. And we're looking forward to getting into the last article of chapter 9, which is the article on the duties and responsibilities of the zoning board of appeals. So with that said, we continue to have new applications coming before us and meeting with people as they become available to meet with us.
Great, thank you. Non-engineers, Bill.
Yep, a few things, just to reiterate a couple too, we'll be awarding North Road tonight. That's a resolution on, we are continuing design of County Road 8 water main replacement. Klein in Brownsville, we should have a pre-con coming up shortly, as soon as we get the required documents from the bidders. Route 332 and 96 is finally been complete, cut and capped, we just got a little restoration left there. The pavilion for the town park, plans and specs will be available after this Friday, so for bidders, that would be the next project, we'll take bids. And we've just been, along with the town, evaluating the costs for water main along Collette Road and Mertensia Road, so that's pending. Yep.
Get together with my. Southern office has been very, very busy, as you can imagine. The last week and this week, a lot of the time slots are already full, but they're taking residents and having them scheduled next week. In the time frame they want to come in and talk over their read out they received in the mail. We did make an announcement here on Friday that Donald Plant, our former assessor, is going to come back and onward. We have a resolution tonight to appoint Donna as our assessor going forward, starting 22 May. Look forward to having you working with us again, Donna.
I look forward to it as well. I really miss the when we were helping with my staff and myself with the data collection. excuse me, I realized how much I miss assessing the people contact. And I just love doing it, so thank you for the confidence and the opportunity.
Thanks, Simon. And recreation, we don't have anybody here tonight, but this week they've been doing the first reservations, or assignments for the kids for summer rec. Communications are on file, reports and minutes are on file. And we'll get into the resolutions. First one of the resolution is typically for the Hartsock families. Again, we were very sad to learn that Margaret had passed away. She'd been our town historian for 19 years. All in favor? Aye. Number 2, resolution authorizing the town board to refund payment of building permit fees for an 800 square foot addition to 4450 Shortsville Road. So, second. Motion by Mike, second by Nate. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Here's a resolution creating a receptionist position. Second. Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Or is a resolution creating recreation assistant position, kind of position. Oh, second. Motion by Nate, second by Mike. These are the part-time positions for summer rec. We needed, just because of the growth, adding, Creek Park, we had to add 5 at least, so we went to the county and asked for 10 positions. Hopefully that gets through next year also, because it can be part-time. All in favor? Aye. Advisory resolution authorizing acceptance of the monthly report of the supervisor for April 2023. So, motion by Mike, second by Steve. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Next is a resolution authorizing the appointment of an assessor. Second. Motion by Nate, second by Ron. Any questions? And this is a statutory minimum salary of $80,000 a year. All in favor? Aye. That was a resolution authorizing a $1 increase in the hourly wage for the assistant inspector effective 14 May 2023. So, second. Motion by Mike, second by Steve. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. 8 is a resolution to purchase a Tommy liftgate for truck number 25. Second. Motion by Nate, second by Ryan, or motion by Ryan, second by Nate. And this is for a highway vehicle. All in favor? Aye. It was 3 votes, by the way. 9 is a resolution authorizing the highway superintendent and the 2023 annual highway school in Ithaca, New York. That's June 4th through the 7th. So, motion by Mike, second by Steve. It's annual school that our highway superintendents have been going through for quite a few years. All in favor? Aye. As a resolution authorizing the scheduling of a public hearing to consider a revised cost estimate for the improvements to the Canandaigua Farmington Consolidated Water District. Second. All right, so this resolution will be on for May 22nd, 2023. And basically, we've had a positive cost increase in material, labor. The cost went from $13 to $15 million. And we're going through this process here, and the town of Canandaigua goes through the process also because they're part of the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. All in favor? Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, it's roll call. Because it is for scheduling public hearing.
Can I do it like Sarah did last?
No.
Yeah. Supervisor Randallsby.
Aye.
Councilman Bowerman.
Aye.
Councilman Herring.
Aye.
Councilman Gazelle.
Aye.
Councilman Holtz.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you. Number 11 is a resolution to award the bid for the North Road Water Main Replacement Project.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike. And listen to the years trying to complete this section 4 and 5, and complete that project. We did have 6 bids, so that was very nice. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Also, resolution recall and amend resolution 140/2023, authorizing the hiring of labor.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Again, the first labor position, when we pass this resolution, defined the come to work for us, and this is for a new employee. Started at the rate $18 an hour on May 15th. All in favor? Aye. 13 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a letter for the municipal advisor services with BPD Municipal Finance. Motion by Mike, second by Steve. And then that comes for 8-9 months to give us a new advisor services contract. That's when we had was 2012. So get them and us up to date with them. See where the current rates that they charge us when they advise us on municipal finance. All in favor? Aye. 14, bear with me. Resolution scheduling a public hearing for the application for incentive rezoning for the power property tax map accounts 29.00-2-1-13, that is 0.1, 52.5 acres and 29.00-2-14-093.3 acres located along the north side of State Route 96, classifying the proposed actions as the type 1 action under provisions of Part 617 of the New York CRR. They're part of the Article 8, New York State Environmental Conservation Law, State Environmental Quality Review Regulation. Declaring intent to be designated as the lead agency and establishing a coordinated review with involved agencies. Directed submission of referral to the Ontario County Planning Board in the provisions of section 239.1 and it's L and M and New York State General Municipal Law, and providing for the draft of the local law to amend the town's official zoning map.
Second.
With your name, second by Mike. And again, this is a resubmission of the power application, and we'll get a presentation next week. All in favor?
Aye.
15 is the abstract to pay the bills for this next session. Abstract 9, general fund $48,700.05. Highway fund $76,118.54. Town sign capital project $586.40. Sidewalk capital project $690. Storm drainage $31,468.65. Sewer district $48,142.66. Water district $27,030.55. Payroll deductions $37.28. For a total abstract $232,774.13. Motion approved. Motion by Steve, second by Mike. Comments, discussions?
I got one exception, voucher $7.99. $7.99.
Anybody else? All in favor? Aye. No training under 100. We do have one discussion request to penalty 5825 Mountain Ash Drive. Note sent to me, dated April 30th. Please note I've tried 2 times to pay this water sewer bill online. The website you indicated in the bill refused to allow it. gentleman in the office actually talked to her. And she was trying to put 2 lines into the system, said she'd already done that in the past, and she paid the bill. When they say to fill in just one of the lines. And she waited till the weekend. After 30 days, the weekend. I paid bill. It's. That's good. Anything else you brought to this board tonight? Anybody online? Any comment? Get a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Nate, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
I don't.